Hello, in this video we're going to demo Padlet. And Padlet is actually a little bit hard to describe because it can do so many different things. Basically, you can think of it as a blank canvas or wall where students can post things and teachers can post things. So teachers can create a blank Padlet for the class and link resources for the students. So they can create text resources, video resources, all different types of things there. Students can add to that Padlet via collaboration. So they can ask questions on the Padlet or answer questions on the Padlet, communicate back and forth with teachers and or students. So a couple of ways that you want to think about using Padlet is for collaborative thinking, question and answers, KWLs, voting, as well as back channeling. And so to give you a little idea of what backchanneling is, this is from the Cambridge Dictionary. We're using the first one here. It's a method of communication or discussion that is not direct or made public. And so basically what backchanneling allows students to do is maybe you're teaching a lesson and you have your Padlet pulled up on the screen, and they're able to go into the Padlet on their phones or devices and leave comments, maybe questions that you kind of just have rolling up on the screen. So as you're teaching, you can look on the Padlet, it'll be up on the board, and you can say, oh, great question that came in. It might be anonymous. It might not, the student might not even identify themselves. This is a great question that came in. They answer it, and then they keep on moving. So it's a way to ask questions without having to stop the class, raise your hand, and ask the question. You can kind of do it in a covert kind of way. And again, you can make it anonymous if you like. So Padlet is one of many ways that you can use for back channeling. But again, Padlet is not only used for back channeling; it can actually be used for quite a few things. So one way to get an idea of what's possible with Padlet is to go to Padlet.com and Gallery, and you can actually choose different ways that people have used Padlet. So one of these is a field trip photo contest created by, this is another Padlet user, but basically they've included the name of each student at the top, and then within each student, they took a picture and they have their special interest picture, their symbols picture, their architecture picture, and then the teacher even graded it, giving them a grade for it. So that is one way that Padlets can be used, is to allow you're able to see what other people have posted, but it's kind of organized in a certain way to where each student has their own column. Here's another one. This one is just which fast food chain has the best burger, and notice that you can rate them. So there's a rating scale, and so you can actually rate it based upon what you think. And so you can have rating scales and you can see the ratings there. So this could be some type of class project where you're asking students to rate different things, or you just have it open to the public, or that kind of thing. So again, that's images and rating. This one is something that was used as a project. It was about climate change, and the students were in groups, and they had to create a text box, and they had to write a short little blog post or a short little statement related to climate discussion. So you can see it's an easy way to see all of the students' posts at one time. It might be a little bit easier to look at them that way, and be able to compare and contrast them that way as well. So it's just, again, like a canvas with everyone's work on it. Here's another one. This one is actually like a syllabus, and it's something that the teacher has created. You scroll down and you have all of your pieces related to it. And again, it's kind of like a syllabus. They've added in audio files, images, text, those types of things. So you're able to, the teacher created it to be able to share with his students, almost like a website. This one is a SWOT analysis. So they just used things at the top to make strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then they could come down here and continue to do their SWOT analysis. This one was a kind of interesting thing. What should the theme of the senior ball be? And you could come and pick which one, and you would just heart the one that you like. And obviously, the one with the most hearts wins. So, again, that's another way that you could use it almost like a voting mechanism. This one was interesting. It was a ticket out the door about Earth systems, and each student had to add their own ticket out the door, what they learned about the assignment. So they included their name, and then they included their ticket out the door. And again, you can refer to this later for grading, for recap, And again, to kind of help study about Earth systems all on one piece of technology, all on one page. This person used it like a bookshelf, like a bookmarking. And so basically, she went through and created columns for different books. And then she just added in the book. So this could be shared with other teachers to be able to have a listing, a visual listing of different texts and what category that they fall in. So it's almost like a sharing bookmarking system. This one was something created by a teacher or a student, and it's basically how to run your first marathon. And so they kind of broke it down into the basics, the gear you need, the nutrition you need, into little bite sized pieces. So again, it's kind of like a blog post, if you will, but it's a little bit more visual because you have the columns rather than reading things all in one line. Here's another option. This one would be easy for a student who was in maybe elementary school or middle school. Basically, the teacher created it. She puts a fact or fiction statement on there, and then the students vote up or down if it's fact or fiction. So maybe up if it's fact, down if it's fiction. And so they would vote up or down based upon that. This one is a KWL chart about human body systems. So what I know, what I want to know, what I learned, and the students would come in and add in their own pieces of information in the correct column of know, wanting to know, and what they learned. Again, kind of like a ticket out the door, but very much organized in a way that could be referred to and studied later. This one is bookmarks again for leadership conferences. So this person has come in there and just made different pieces of different links to different websites, things like that related to leadership. And then here's another one, my personal favorite, the best of education technology. So basically, these are all links to other Padlets that have been created. So this is a kind of a meta Padlet. And so you have links to all your other Padlets and websites and links that give you more information about education and education usage. So again, it's kind of a collaborative effort, very visual, and again, be able to put a lot of information on one page. So that's the idea of what Padlet can be used for. You can see it can be used for question and answers, KWLs, bookmarking, storytelling, just you name it. It's a blank canvas that can be used for so much. So the first step to creating a Padlet is to go to padlet.com and create your account, sign up, it's free, and then log in. So logging into your account, notice here on the side that you have 8 Padlets that you can create and use for free with the free account. So you can make a Padlet or you can actually join a Padlet, which again is great for collaboration. So if somebody's already made the Padlet, you can put in the URL to be able to add to that Padlet. And again, that's where you get to the gallery. So we will make a Padlet and then we can choose the type of Padlet we would like. So you can see the wall is kind of brick-like layout with things kind of everywhere. The canvas is more of a concept map where you can move things around to connect in group. The stream is like the syllabus option that we looked at with things only going top to bottom in like a feed. The grid is focused on rows, while the shelf is focused on columns. This is where this, in some of the examples, they had the students at the top or the KWL at the top, that kind of thing. And then back channel is communication in a chat-like environment, so a back and forth. And again, you can always press preview to see an example of what they look like. So like this is the shelf, which looks like a KWL, versus this is the canvas that looks like a flow chart, versus this is the grid, which is kind of going this way, versus this is the wall with just kind of things everywhere. And then this is the back channel with communication kind of going back and forth. Or you can also pick a template if you like. So bookmarks, Q&A, storyboarding, that kind of thing. KWL, you can kind of organizational chart. You can kind of pick a template if you like, or you can make one from scratch. So after selecting the type of Padlet you would like to create, and I selected a shelf for this one, you'll be taken to it, but you'll have the option to modify here on the right side, and there are some very important settings you want to choose. You'll give it a title. I'm going to do mine about the parts of speech. You can give it a description of what it is. You can choose your wallpaper. You can choose your posting color, your font, an icon to go with it. But again, this gets to the important part. Attribution is going to show the name of the author above each post. If you you want to be able to track who posted what, that's important to turn on. If you want it to be anonymous posting, then you want it off. How you want the new posts to be delivered. So the newer posts are going to be posted last, or you could have it reversed to where the newer posts show at the top. So they're first. So it depends on which way you want them to go. Profanity filter may be important, maybe not. You can allow viewers to comment on other people's posts, or the posts that were created might be a thing to turn on and off depending on what you're doing. And then you can do reactions. You can do a like to where they can heart it. And again, we noticed that when we were doing voting in some of the examples, like the one for a different type of prom, the type of prom theme, you could like whichever one you wanted, vote up or down, a star to give a star rating, or you can actually grade it if you want to make it gradable to where the teacher can actually give a grade, and they can put it out of however many points. So we'll just put it out of 1 point right now because we'll make this one gradable. You can put in tags, and then you'll be given a link to, this is the link that you'll use to give to others to be able to post in the Padlet. The next option will be share, and you can get to any of these options up here in the top right corner. So we're going to look at share, and you can choose the type of privacy you have. We recommend password protected, which you give the students a password to be able to get into the Padlet, or you can make it secret to where you have to have the link to be able to get in. You don't have a password. It's not password protected, but you have to have the direct link. So those are the two that are recommended. And then you can choose those with access can do any of the following. Most of the time for students, it's going to be that they can write. So they can view and add posts. They cannot edit other people's posts, modify those posts, etc. If you have a co-teacher, you might want to allow them to be moderators because they can edit posts if they need to. And so again, that is under share. You can also add contributors via email that way, especially for co-teachers. You can allow people to copy or remake a copy of your Padlet, or you can have it to where it's moderated to where a moderator, somebody with moderation status, must approve the post before it goes on to and is visible on the Padlet. So, and then of course you can do share and export. There's the QR code to your Padlet. You can copy a link to the Padlet and send it to them that way, share on Google Classroom. And then when you get finished with your Padlet, after you've created all the things, you can actually save it as a PDF or print it if you want a printed copy of it. So again, all those settings are up here in the top right corner, your sharing settings, privacy and exports, as well as here, your different settings down here at the bottom you can adjust as need be. So here I could create my columns because again I chose a shelf version, so you've got these fixed columns, and then I've just give it a title, add in the column, and then I can add in my different columns that I have going. Now the students will be able to add to the Padlet, and as the teacher, I could add to the Padlet as well. So I'll give you an example of what you can add. So we choose the plus icon. Again, I have it to where it identifies me, so it can be identified. I can type in a title. I can type in something. So very easily under the noun column, I might describe what a noun is, just to kind of give them an idea. So that could be my first kind of reminder or piece if I wanted to. So then students could come in and maybe under their Padlet, notice that you can do lots of different things. You can add in just a text comment, but you can actually upload images, put in web links, search on Google, take a photo. You can also make a film from your camera, so take a picture from your camera, make a film from your camera, do a voice audio recording, record your screen as in like a screen share. You can draw a doodle, you can do add a map location, or you can link to a total another Padlet. So many options in how they can comment and what they can do. So in this case, let's pretend that they're young kids and I would like for them to write a noun here under the noun column. So in that case, they could use the draw tool, and a draw tool pops up, and then they have to write in a word that is a noun, and they save it, and it will show up right here underneath their Padlet, right here under the nouns column, and it will have determined what their name is and what it can be used for. Maybe in this case, a student might come over and they might want to use they might want to search on Google and come in search within Google, either images or videos or GIFs or the web, and maybe I'm searching for a verb. So maybe I search for a verb and choose it here, and that's my representation of a verb. Maybe here under adjectives, I want to come, and as the student, I want to search on Google, and maybe I want to find a GIF of some kind for an adjective. So maybe I search here, I find this nice GIF, it uploads here, and my adjective is pretty, and it shows it there. So again, different ways students can make comments, or different ways that they can add content to the Padlet. So now let's get it to where students can share, because again, this was me as the teacher adding to it. So I want to be able to share it to my students. So to share it to your students, you choose share and then share, export, embed, and you can do the QR code, copy link to the Padlet, or again, if you use Google Classroom, you can choose to share on Google Classroom and then associate it to the course, and it would automatically go in to link directly to your Google Classroom. If you are using Google Classroom, it would auto link. If not, that's fine, because you can just copy the paste or do the QR code, and the students can get in that way. So at this point, I've logged out of myself, and I went to the Padlet. And so notice that I can actually add to the Padlet, but without being logged in, it's going to add it as anonymous. So the teacher will not know who posted it. So in that case, if the teacher would like to know who posted these things, and that's part of the requirement for the assignment, the student would just need to choose sign up, and then they can create their own Padlet, or easiest to sign in with Google, sign in with Microsoft, with an account that they already have. So now that I'm logged in, when I go to make one, you can see that it will have my email, my username, what have you related to it. So maybe as a student, I do the same thing. I come in, I use one of my options to add to the Padlet. So maybe I put dance. And it can be added to the Padlet, and they would be able to see that it's under my name. Or I could add under the adjectives, I could search for a GIF of cold, which would be an adjective. And so you can search and do that way. And again, that's kind of different ways you can add to the Padlets as students. Notice that if this needs to be copied for another class, you can choose remake, and you can copy the design, which would copy everything but the post themselves, or you could choose to copy the post with them so that it would come over looking just like this. So logged back in as the teacher, notice that I had set it to where it was a grade setting. So again, under here, within the types of reactions, I had a graded reaction. So I could actually come and say, you're right, this is a type of verb. I'm going to grade it now. And so I could actually choose a grade. So when the student comes back, they're able to see that they got the credit for having do it. Now, there isn't a grade book or anything that goes with Padlet. It's just a way to do it. So you could do a grade if you wanted to, or you could very easily, in this case, probably do a like, and then I would just heart the ones that were correct. And so I could come in and heart the ones that were correct responses, so that I would just have to tell my students that was the case. And so I could come, and if it was correct, I could give it a little heart, and that way they would know that it was correct. So different ways that you could use it. Also notice that you can add comments. So I could come in and add any additional comments if I wanted to. Like maybe I wasn't sure, is that one cold? So is this cold? I can add a little comment underneath it, and it starts almost like a little threaded comment there. And so you could add in little comments that way. Then the students can additionally add in comments to talk about that one particular post. So again, that's a way to have multiple conversations within the assignment kind of itself. So this is one example of a Padlet. This one is a shelf because it goes with it's column based. And again, you could do KWLs. You could put the student's name up here. And then notice after it gets so long, it turns into a scroll bar. So in one case, it had the student and then they had to go and put their ticket out the door here. And that could be an option as well. Or they could come here and they could have to come in and maybe describe something, or they could come in and upload an image. In one case where it was the photo gallery where they had to come and upload different types of images in their row. So you could do it where all the students had their own column as well. Okay, now let's try a back channel chat using a Padlet. So I chose the back channel option. And in this case, I'm just doing the modify pieces and filling out the settings that I wanted like before. But this one, the students are assigned to read Charlotte's Web and they are reading the text at home, but I'm going to leave some prompts for them as the teacher that they need to answer and talk about. And then I'm going to add in some of my own thoughts and questions. They're able to add in their own thoughts and questions based upon what they're doing as they're reading. So again, this is a back channel. They're communicating outside of the main line of thought, which is kind of like a flipped classroom. They're having a discussion online about the book while they're reading it at home, or they could be doing this in class. If they're reading it in class, instead of talking about it in a text or in a verbal discussion, they could be on their Chromebooks or on their tablets and having this discussion online. Even as while I'm lecturing about it, they could also be answering these questions. So again, this digital atmosphere can exist at home, during lecture, during group work, anytime. So in this case, I have a comment feature at the bottom. I could type in a text. I can, again, upload files, links, Google images, create images, all of the things that we could use before, I can add in. So maybe I add an image with it. So this gets kind of posted, and again, this was something that as the teacher I posted. So then the students would be able to post back and forth based upon this and add in their own comments. Again, remember to share it. You go to share, share and export, copy the link to this Padlet or share on Google Classroom or give them the QR code. Remember though that before you do so, you want to come to sharing and people in privacy, determine the privacy and determine what they're able to do, what features they're able to use. Notice that you can turn on browser notifications if this is something that you're working on and you want it to pop up. Notice that they can add things, but if they do not log in, it's going to add as an anonymous post, which you may or may not want as a teacher. If not, they're gonna have to create their own account and log in that way. So as the student, I'm able to come in and see what my teacher posted, and then here at the bottom, I'm able to add my own comment, and it posts this way, and then another student could come in and add their post. So again, you're kind of doing a little bit of a Q&A, but again, it is also back channeling because as the students type these comments, it's going to appear on the board, and you're able to see this if you have this pulled up on the computer projector in the room. You're able to see it as things are coming in, or if you have them do it for homework before the class the next day, you're able to log into the class the next day and see all the things that have been added and the time that they were posted for timing purposes to make sure they did their homework. And then this can be a discussion starter even before the class, even before you actually start verbally speaking in the class. And so here was the teacher's post, and then down on the side will be all of the different student posts. And that is a basic summary of how you can use Padlet. Remember, you have lots of different options you can choose from when creating your Padlet, the style. So you might want to choose one that most appropriately fits the type of activity you're using.